Revelation 6 and 8, I looked up and saw a horse whose color was pale green. His rider was named Death, and his companion was the grave. These two were given authority over 1/4 of the earth to kill with the sword and famine and disease and wild animals. All praises to Yahweh, Bashim Habashah, Bahara Kakadash, the honors of the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that scattered abroad amongst the heathen, something like the heathen. We give it the 144,000. Preacher, teacher, prophet, Shalom. And you'll be on the lookout because something big might be coming this fall and winter concerning these diseases. All right. As we just read in Revelation on the 6th chapter, the 8th verse. Hey, that's a part of the end times, man. The pale horse, people dying of disease. Right here it says, "Buckle up, baby. You're going to be sick." MSNBC host warns of dire consequences of RFK Jr.'s CDC purge.
We're out of time, Michael, but I want to ask you, because this is the important question then. If all of that is true, and there's a ton of people who agree with you, what's the average American to do whose lives or their ability to have a good life depends on a functioning CDC and FDA?
Buckle up, baby. You're going to be sick. The explosion of measles this academic year in schools across the country is going to be we've seen what happened just in the first part of this year in places like Texas at the end of the school year. Now we're about to go into a whole new school year, and the idiocracy that's running our health care is saying, children don't need to have the vaccines that they need to protect themselves and other kids. So yeah, people are going to get sick. People will die, and people won't have access, as we've set up to this point, will not have access to the information they need to keep them healthy and to save their lives, because the data is BS. It's made up. It's not real. We all know what this autism report is going to say. You think after all of this, they're going to put out a report that confirms that there is no link between vaccines and autism? No. We already know the report's what it's going to say. And yet the press and the politics are going to pretend like this is somehow going to be news. They don't need to go study. What study? So I think Dr. Manuel's right, and Dr. Jernigan and others who've been saying that the data is the key thing that goes a long way to keeping us healthy. When that is bad, when that information is bad, the consequences to the American people are bad. And so I don't know how you get around this. I mean, we can talk to Bill Cassidy, but Bill Cassidy's not going to do anything that Bill Cassidy hasn't done before because he voted for the man who's created this mess.
Michael Steele, Vaughn Hilliard, Brandy Zadrosny.
Eat healthy, exercise, and pray to Yahweh Shema Shah. That's it. And not put foreign objects into your body. Y'all know why I said it like that. All right, real quick, Ecclesiastes. I got another video, 38 and 1. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him. For the Lord Yahweh Shema has created him. Yeah, even with Esau, people in the world as physicians, okay, that know what they're talking about. That's who you follow. All right? Hey, the service, the prophets are physicians as well. All right? Hey, did not Yahweh Shah tell the apostles and the prophets to go and heal the sick, give sight to the blind, heal the lepers? By word is word. You got brothers that's into medicine, herbs. Okay? They're physicians. Okay? And the scriptures tell you how to take care of your body. All right? Exercise, eat foods just of the earth, eat clean food, not abominable food. And we know even though the healthy food and the foods that we are eating according to the dietary law, and we got to pray over it, man. All right, that's why we got to really be cautious about what we eat, because it's defiled anyway. But that's the food that we pray over, okay? But hey, we can't overeat, do none of that. It really weakens the body. Proper rest, all right? It says for the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. You see? Yahweh Shema Shah comes healing. Okay? First and foremost, Yahweh Shema Shah comes healing by word his word. And the name Yahweh Yahweh Shah. And doing what you're supposed to do, or what we're supposed to do. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Lord Yahweh Shema Shah has created medicines of the earth. And he that is wise will not abhor them. You see? Was not putting the proper nutrients into your body. Okay? Was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known? Right, coming through the wilderness, the water was contaminated. So Moses put that tree in the water. And that particular tree, it cleanses the water because it sucked up the bacteria. All right? And it made the water clean. All right? It says, and there is ways to purify water and to cleanse food. All right? And he has given men skill that he might be honored in his marvelous works. With such doeth he heal men and taketh away their pains. Of such doeth the apothecary make a confection, and of his works there is no end. And from him is peace over all the earth. And that's it. Let me see. Here it is, verse 9. My son, in thy sickness be not negligent. It says, meaning take care of yourself before you get sick, and most definitely when you're sick. But pray unto the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah, and he will make thee whole. You see? Leave off from sin and order thy hands aright, and cleanse thy heart from all wickedness. All right? Now let's play this other video. It's 8 minutes long. So hey, just be on the lookout, because hey, something heavy might be coming, man. This fall and winter. All right? Hey, they cutting all these CDC members. Hold on.
The major shake.
Because, we don't believe in, that nonsense. Like the scripture said in Leviticus, don't make no cut in the flesh. We don't put these foreign objects into our body, because the body naturally heals itself. Okay? Just like plants died during the fall and winter, and they come back around during the spring and the fall. All right? So, hey, our body has cells in it that we can replenish and things of that nature, man. And, we ain't with what they're talking about anyway. So all that, taking all this stuff they're talking about now, we ain't doing none of that. And you already see what happened to those who took that dips to do Dunkaroo, man. All right? And the people that's going to be getting sick, you already know it's going to be them that's going to really be, hurting this fall and winter, man. All right? And they're going to blame it on CDC for not having the staff to test and things of that nature. Okay? But hey, remember, all of this is a setup to bring forth the chaos, as we read in Revelation 6. Death and hell follow him. Him is Esau. He's sitting on a pale horse. I forgot that woman's name. She said, we're the riders of the pale horse, the Edomite. So they in control of this. All right? They call Yahweh Shema Shah, using them on the left-hand side to bring forth these diseases. All right? And a lot of people are going to get sick, and a lot of people are going to drop, man. All right? And people are going to become terrified. All right? And they're going to think it's something really out there, but hey, it's actually those who went along with the program the first time in 2020. This year 5, next should be year 6 concerning this stuff, man.
Up at the CDC has a number of healthcare workers concerned, especially since it comes just weeks before the next meeting of the advisory committee on immunization practices. I want to bring in Dr. Monica Gandhi, the director of the University of California, San Francisco Center for AIDS Research. Dr. Gandhi, thank you for being with us. You're an expert in infectious diseases. You have many friends and colleagues at the CDC. You just got off the phone with one of them. What did they say?
It is a mess. Essentially, what's happening is that just this week, as you know, essentially the new CDC director, Dr. Menares, was fired summarily. Actually, RFK Jr. said she resigned. She did not resign. She issued a statement. She did not resign. And somehow the president later that night fired her. On top of that, 4 very high-level officials resigned. One was in charge of the respiratory pathogen division as we're going into this respiratory season. Beyond that, already, as you know, 2,500 employees have been cut from the CDC. They don't have the staff to do really important functions. There's a salmonella outbreak right now going on across the country in eggs. There is HIV prevention guidelines that need to be updated, and this website just says we don't have the staff in big yellow boxes. We can't do it.
So this crisis, this exodus, as it's been called, was triggered by this upcoming vaccine meeting, citing a real concern.
Just a quick reminder, too, they're short on a lot of medicine, too, coming from overseas, all right? So a lot of people that rely on the medicine that come from overseas, hey, y'all gonna be short, all right? Y'all gonna be short. And that's gonna cause a lot of y'all become more ill and eventually drop.
That RFK Jr. is going to present.
And she looked like a member from the Insane Clown Posse. She looked crazy as hell. Look at her. Through. All the way.
Data that is not supported by science. Are you concerned as an infectious disease expert about what the health secretary is going to say, and how could that impact your own practice?
Yes, I'm concerned. And actually, Senator Cassidy has called for a delay of that meeting. But to go back to what happened there was a panel of experts called the ACIP. They always advise the CDC on guidelines. For example, every winter we need to know what we should be doing with COVID and flu shots. They were in June just fired, all of them, and then a new committee of 8 people were put in, some of whom actually have declared that they do not believe in, for example, the COVID vaccine. So then going into this season, there's been a lot of questions that RFK Jr. is gathering safety data from sort of not clear sources, and that meeting may not allow us to go forward and make recommendations for the American people on what to do with flu shots this season, COVID shots, who needs them, who gets them. We do need to be protected from respiratory pathogens this season.
Yeah, the CDC, though, I remember we would talk almost every day during COVID. It was always the primary source for medical guidance when it comes to vaccines and, frankly, anything else to do with public health. Should the public still look to them for guidance as a doctor? And if not them, then who?
She ain't no damn doctor.
I mean, this is terrible when your government public health agency you can't trust. But at this moment, the American Academy of Pediatrics has a whole set of completely different guidelines than the CDC does on vaccination of young children, for example, under 2 for COVID, who've never seen COVID. And if they haven't seen COVID, it is good to have a vaccine. So parents don't even know who to trust. The government is who we should trust. So we need...
Y'all hear that shit? You heard what she said, who people should trust? Now remember all the data that's out and still coming out concerning those who trust it. But don't forget that. All right? Don't be scared, man. All right? Don't be scared because we know what's going on. Hey, Yahweh Shema Shai did not give us the spirit of fear, man. We know exactly what's going on in the spirit. So all this mess they talking about, the trust. Ecclesiastes 12, man. I remember that. I had to stop the video to say that. Remember that. Remember what's going on. Remember how many people that lost family members or things of that nature for trusting. And come to find out, they said we were right and they wrong. Look at all the money that dished out for accidental, oofs. Not many people still going through it, man. Cardiovascular issues, man. Paralysis.
Trusted advice advisors. We need consultants with long-standing credentials, infectious disease doctors to make infectious disease recommendations. This is political. This is influenced. This is not making sense. And right now, yes, I would say go to the guidelines for your either adult or pediatric guidelines. This is not at all how it should be. And we need people to respond to outbreaks. And that's what I'm very concerned about, that we need our premier public health agency to be fully staffed to work on what they're supposed to do, which is health.
Yeah, I mean, I want to leave it in a little bit more to the access to vaccines, because both CVS and Walgreens say that they would be abiding by the CDC's recommendations when it comes to the COVID vaccine, which is an mRNA vaccine. It's important to note that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is canceling $500 million in contracts to develop these types of vaccines. And there are currently clinical trials that are showing great promise with mRNA vaccines and cancer. So what happens to those trials and further research with these vaccines that have been showing promise?
Yeah, these mRNA vaccines have a lot of promise. Why? Because they can be developed really quickly. So they're sort of the perfect thing for a pandemic. You want a vaccine within 9 months like we had during SARS-CoV-2. So what happened is the research was actually canceled at what's called BARDA for pathogens, not for cancer. Luckily, there will be mRNA vaccine research at the NIH for cancer, but pathogens. And one problem there is if you have pathogens, if you have an avian influenza outbreak, you want a quick vaccine. So it really doesn't make sense. We can't go by theories that are not proven. These vaccines do not cause mass death. Yes, we can have nuances of who to give the boosters to. I'm certainly pushing them for my adult, older parents, not so concerned about my teenage boys. Yes, of course we can have nuance, but that doesn't mean we just stop the whole program. And these pharmacies will not be able to give out vaccines for free unless they're on the CDC guidance. You'll actually have to pay for them if you are in a category that's not in the CDC guidance. So this meeting next week of the Vaccine Advisory Committee is very important, and it's why Senator Cassidy has said, delay the meeting. We need a meeting with RFK Jr. We need to see him on Thursday, September 4th. Call him in. Senator Cassidy is a physician, and just try to understand what's going on.
Can you do anything as a doctor yourself to potentially combat some of this information that's coming out of the CDC right now, that it's not necessarily based on science? What can doctors like you do about it?
When you've got smoke-free satisfaction, you've got the freedom to do things
based on science. What can doctors like you do about it?
We can certainly work with our own patients, and that's a one-on-one, but we actually want widespread, ability, like, thank you for letting me talk today. But I think that we need to kind of have a platform, and this is, again, very unusual. We shouldn't be combating the government. Like, this is unusual that we are asking for platforms to talk, but the Infectious Disease Society of America is formulating its own guidelines, and I would just turn to those during the next 3.5 years.
So what do you tell parents, though, that could be concerned that they're not going to have access to the vaccines that they have been able to access as a no-brainer from their doctors? Now, is there a potential that they won't have access to those vaccines? And if they want them, where should they go?
I think that to actually pull them completely would be so dramatic. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to have access. The problem is you'll have to pay for them if they're not on the CDC guidance, because insurance can just say, I'm only going to pay if they're on the CDC guidance. So it's very unfortunate that we would ask parents to pay for vaccines that used to be free. And I think that's the worst case scenario. I really honestly cannot see a way that they would just pull COVID vaccines.
But even having to pay for these vaccines, there's concerns that a lot of parents simply can't afford to pay for the vaccines. And are you concerned that there could be a resurgence of some of these epidemics that have been pretty much eradicated over the past 30 years?
Oh, I'm very concerned. Measles is the premier example of this. Measles was eliminated in the United States. We just reached 2 weeks ago the highest number of cases that we've had for the last 30 years. So I'm very concerned we're going to have a resurgence of childhood vaccine preventable diseases if we don't in a very calm fashion, tell the American public that vaccines are life-saving. They have profound mortality benefits, and there's just no doubt about their data. We can absolutely ensure that they're safe, which they generally are because they have all been tested. They all have been tested, but we cannot take the safety concerns, which again, they've all been tested. They've all been looked at for safety. There's no association between vaccines, autism, vaccines, or anything that RFK Jr. is saying. These have all been completely debunked. These are safe, effective vaccines. Get your children vaccinated.
Well, y'all know what and what not to do. It's safe. It's safe. You know what she said? It's safe. They've all been tested. Oh, y'all want to take back what I said. So I said she wasn't a doctor. I apologize. She is a doctor. Doctor means to falsify. You know, so yeah, she is a doctor. Lying ass. She coked out. Something wrong with her. She took something. Let's close out with this. Oh, my fault right there. Ecclesiastes 12. And 10, never trust thy enemy, for like his iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped the looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rest has not been altogether wiped away. Yeah, he got them tricks up his sleeve. Set him not by thee, lest when he has overthrown thee, he stand in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand. Don't trust him, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Will put a charmer that is bit with a serpent, or such as come now wild beast. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. The enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagined how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he found opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. And that's what we just saw with this woman, man. They're crying as if they're trying to help, but hey, we know the truth, man. 5 years of this information been coming out. 5 years they've been saying, well, about 3 years they've been saying we were lying, we were wrong, we made it up. Now, 4th and 5th year, all this information coming out. All right? That, hey, we were telling the truth. Hey, leaders in these other countries saying we were telling the truth. It says, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. Hey, you can read that 2 Esdras 16, started like the 30th verse. Hey, these players coming on all sides and they're not slack, man. So, hey, be on the lookout because we could possibly be seeing a whole lot of plagues and diseases and sicknesses and deaths this fall and winter, man. All right, Shalom. Stay prayed up in the name of Yahweh Shema Shai. Shalom. And read Psalms 91. Us as a whole elect will be protected, man. Shalom. We know what it is.